With Catherine beside him, our new Prince and Princess of Wales will, I know, continue to inspire and lead our national conversations, helping to bring the marginal to the center ground.
King Charles III raised his hand to stop the entire Garter procession and the music in front of hundreds of international media cameras when Queen Camilla unexpectedly and deliberately intervened, separating Prince William and Princess Catherine. This unprecedented public incident revealed a significant crisis of animosity within the royal family. Before we go deeper into what this really means for the royal family, subscribe so you don't miss any updates. The rehearsal clash. 12 days before the magnificent Garter procession took place at Windsor, the air inside St. George's Hall was thick with hostility. The ancient stone walls had witnessed centuries of dynastic ups and downs, becoming an unforgiving psychological arena. It was a closed rehearsal, and the dim yellow light cast shadows upon the polished wooden floor where core family members stood in a hypothetical formation. Tension brewed immediately. Queen Camilla entered the visual tech team's monitoring area and stood in the dark, intently staring at the large screens. The trial camera angles captured every move of Princess Catherine, every smile, every tilt of her head, down to the exact way Kate adjusted her ceremonial hat. Catherine completely captivated the experts' attention. That effortless, natural radiance of her daughter-in-law was like a deep thorn in Camilla's side. As she watched the screens, she came to a bitter realization. Even if she wore the glittering crown of an official queen consort, the authentic public aura would never belong to her. It would forever belong to the young woman standing behind her. Envy flared quickly within Camilla and morphed into a ruthless plan. She absolutely refused to share a single second of the spotlight during the global live broadcast. Turning to the executive assistant standing obsequiously beside her, who held a script folder in hand, Camilla pointed with cold intent. A massive sapphire ring flashed in the low light as she directed her finger at the central monitor displaying the procession's movement chart. She ordered that the Wales's procession segment be split into two separate parts. Camilla wanted Catherine pushed back, hidden behind the towering stone pillars of the hall and completely isolated from the main camera angles. Her motive was clear. She wanted to diminish the Wales's prominence, drown out Kate's presence, and leave the central space for her own appearance alongside the king. Camilla believed she could manipulate public perception, thinking that controlling their positions on the red carpet would extinguish the overwhelming expectations the public held for the succeeding generation. However, she underestimated Prince William, who carried the bloodline of the late Princess Diana. Standing at the front of the rehearsal lineup, William overheard his stepmother's cold and calculating demand. Without hesitation, he showed no deference to her title as queen. He walked straight toward the monitoring area, his face hardening and his eyes burning with fiery rage. Rage he had suppressed for years, since this woman stepped into the family. Without using flowery words or invoking diplomatic protocols, William raised an iron finger and pointed it directly at Camilla's face. The entire technical staff present in the room gasped in shock. His voice dropped, strained with heavy emphasis, and carrying the weight of 1,000 tons as it echoed through the vast space of St. George's Hall. My wife stands next to me. No one, I repeat, no one, is allowed to push her into the shadows. William's words were like a bucket of ice water poured over Camilla's grand ambitions. This direct, blunt, and authoritative resistance left the most powerful woman in the palace feeling grossly insulted, especially in front of all the courtiers. She pursed her lips so tightly that the red lipstick line on her mouth distorted as she gripped the blue silk sash of her evening gown, their eyes locked in a breathtaking psychological war, with the boundary between stepmother and stepson completely erased and only mortal animosity remaining. Camilla realized William was no longer the submissive child of past decades. He was ready to lay his cards on the table and protect the woman in his life and the direct lineage of the throne at all costs. Instead of backing down, the Prince of Wales's outright refusal only stoked the flames of hatred in Camilla's heart. In chilling silence, she turned and walked away. Still, in her mind, a darker conspiracy had already begun to take shape. A mad plan to subvert William's stubbornness, regardless of the consequences. The morning sabotage. Early on the day of the ceremony, Windsor Castle felt quiet and tense. The large iron gates were still closed to guests, and guards were checking their weapons in the outer courtyard. Inside the dim palace corridors, Camilla made a bold decision. She refused to accept the embarrassment from the rehearsal 12 days earlier. Greed fueled her actions, and the thought of being overshadowed by the younger generation pushed her to cross moral boundaries. She knew that if they followed the official procession plan, Catherine would take center stage in the media, while Camilla would be forgotten. To change the situation, Camilla decided to orchestrate a last-minute swap of the procession chart. She called her assistant into her private dressing room in Clarence Tower. They met in secret, with the thick oak door locked to block out any unwanted attention. On the antique wooden dressing table, Camilla placed a small piece of parchment covered in her hurried handwriting. It was an unauthorized chart she had created the night before, filled with envy. In this chart, she widened the gap between Prince William and Princess Catherine. She drew a bold arrow pointing to where she intended to step into that space as the procession moved through the square. This change wasn't just a simple adjustment. It was a plan to isolate Catherine and make her look like an outsider in front of the public and millions of cameras. The assistant looked at the chart, sweating and trembling. He understood the rules of the ceremony and the seriousness of Camilla's plan. Changing the procession without approval from the Prince of Wales and the King was treason. It could ruin his career, but Camilla pressured him. She moved closer, her expensive perfume filling the air. Her intense gaze locked onto him. She threatened his future, his position, and used his secrets to manipulate him. Before the procession, you must secretly replace the official chart with this one in the Lord Great Chamberlain's main folder. If anything goes wrong, you will be the first to leave this palace with a bad reputation. Feeling trapped by her intimidation, the assistant lowered his head in obedience. He rolled up the chart in his sleeve and left her room, looking pale. He hurried through the empty corridors toward the ceremonial operations room, where the Lord Great Chamberlain's folder lay on the central table. He took advantage of a moment when the guards were changing shifts. As everyone gathered outside, he approached the table, his hands shaking. He opened the royal leather binder, removed the original chart, and quickly placed Camilla's altered chart inside. The clip snapped shut, completing his stealthy act. In her private room, Camilla looked in the mirror and smiled, pleased with herself. She believed that when the sun rose, Catherine would face the greatest public humiliation of her life. Camilla reveled in her plan, confident it would not be discovered. The spy operation. Camilla didn't realize who she was up against. She faced someone with the sharp instincts of a skilled detective. Prince William remembered the heated argument at St. George's Hall 12 days earlier. He knew his stepmother would not just sit back and accept defeat. He understood Camilla very well. She was willing to use the most underhanded tricks to gain power. Since the night before, William had set up a secret surveillance operation. He turned the operations room into a trap for any traitors. William had a hidden camera installed in an antique bronze statue in the room. The camera was well concealed and pointed at a table with a ceremonial folder. It worked continuously, sending a signal through a secure channel. The feed went to a secure tablet that William always carried with him. When Camilla's assistant swapped the documents, William was in his study, watching everything unfold on his screen. He saw the assistant's guilty looks, the removal of the original chart, and the substitution of Camilla's unauthorized sketch into the binder. The video captured the assistant's panicked face and Camilla's hurried handwriting on the fake paper. William zoomed in on the screen, his expression hardening with anger at his stepmother. He had solid evidence against her. This video could help him expose her wrongdoing. He saved it to secure storage, knowing he needed to catch everyone involved, including Camilla. William then walked into the next room where Catherine was getting ready. He hugged her and whispered that she should be confident and keep her distance. He would take care of the rest. After confirming the evidence, William went straight to King Charles III's bedroom while the king was putting on his ceremonial robe. Without any formalities, he placed the tablet on the wooden desk in front of his father and hit play. King Charles watched the screen in shock as he saw the assistant swap the documents under Camilla's direction. His face changed from surprise to deep anger. He could not believe that Camilla, whom he had supported, could act so dishonorably, risking the royal family's reputation. Charles realized that if Camilla succeeded in her plot, it would hurt the royal family's future and the rights of William and Catherine. Instead of calling a meeting, he decided to take strong action using his authority. Charles walked to the oak cabinet where he kept important items. He took a beeswax candle and a dark red wax stick. After heating the wax, he pressed his royal signet ring into it, creating a sealed decree on parchment. This decree was a serious command. It made sure that William and Catherine stayed together during the Garter procession. It also gave the Lord Great Chamberlain and the Royal Guard the power to remove anyone from the event, even if that person was the Queen. The red wax-sealed decree would serve as the ultimate weapon against Camilla, the public downfall. The Garter procession began on a sunny day in Windsor. Thousands of people filled the streets, waving flags and holding flowers. TV networks around the world broadcast the event. Brass horns played happily as the procession left the castle gates with pride. Queen Camilla walked beside King Charles III. She smiled, feeling confident that her plan was in place and everything would go smoothly. She looked at the crowd, enjoyed their cheers, and felt pleased to think about her daughter-in-law being pushed out of view. As the procession reached the central square by St. George's Chapel, it was time for her to act. Camilla relied on a secret sketch she had prepared. She quickened her pace, moved through the procession, and stepped between Prince William and Princess Catherine. She aimed to block Catherine from the cameras, surprising her and forcing her to step back, all while showing a victorious smile. As Camilla stepped into the gap, something unexpected happened. King Charles III suddenly stopped. He raised his white-gloved hand and signaled firmly. The brass horns fell silent, and the procession stopped, leaving the square in silence. To everyone's shock, the king stepped out of line and walked directly toward Camilla, showing anger on his face. He pointed back and told her in a cold voice which echoed through the microphone, "Return to your original position immediately." Camilla froze, her smile disappearing. She felt embarrassed as her face went from red to pale, realizing the cameras were capturing the moment her husband reprimanded her. Prince William quickly moved closer to Catherine, took her hand, and created a protective barrier around her while pushing Camilla aside. This public embarrassment was severe. Camilla had to retreat to the back, feeling helpless and bitter. Once they entered St. George's Chapel, the procession went into a private royal holding room, and the heavy doors locked behind them. Inside, tension grew quickly. Camilla spun around, furious, and yelled at the king, "How dare you humiliate me in front of the public? Do you know I am the queen? You ruined my title for this daughter-in-law." Breathing heavily, with anger in her eyes, she couldn't hold back. Despite her outburst, Princess Catherine stood firm. She looked at Camilla sharply and said, "You can't blame anyone but yourself for causing division in front of the cameras. Your plans have backfired." Camilla laughed bitterly, still thinking she had covered her tracks. "What proof do you have to accuse me? You have nothing." Prince William walked to a table in the center of the room, reached into his coat, and slammed two items onto the table. One was a tablet showing a video of Camilla's assistant changing the chart under the hidden camera. The second was the unauthorized handwritten chart marked with Camilla's own ink. Camilla stared at the paper in disbelief. She shook as she realized she had been caught. There was no denying it. She stepped back, clutching a chair to avoid falling. King Charles walked over and placed the secret decree, sealed with red wax, beside the fake chart. He looked at Camilla, filled with disappointment and coldness. "Did you think I wouldn't notice? I signed this decree last night. You walked right into today's trap." Camilla collapsed onto a nearby sofa. Her disguise as a villain disappeared. All her pride crumbled in front of William and Catherine. The waiting room fell silent, broken only by Camilla's gasps as she lost her dignity. The punishment came quickly. Within 24 hours, King Charles III signed another secret decree stripping Camilla of her biggest ceremonial privileges. He took away the golden key, which symbolized control of the grand entrance at Windsor Castle. The captain of the guard locked that door with a thick iron chain. King Charles gave Princess Catherine the golden key and control of the entrance directly. He also wrote a note stating that her position was unique and secure. Camilla's schedule became stricter. She was banned from any activities related to the next generation. Her dishonest assistant was handcuffed and removed from the palace that afternoon. The final punishment was house arrest for Camilla. She had to leave Windsor that night and move to a lonely mansion in a remote area. She would live in isolation, cut off from the family and without a chance to appear before the media. The story ended with William and Catherine walking proudly, hand in hand, through the golden doors of the palace at sunset. It showed the triumph of goodness over deceit. How do you feel about King Charles III's public punishment of Camilla? Do you think her house arrest is a fair outcome for her actions? Share your thoughts in the comments. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click on the next video shown on your screen. You'll enjoy it.